Hello everyone and welcome to my second Kickstarter spotlight. This time we're going to be taking a look at Akaneiro Demon Hunters, which is by Spicy Horse. So let's get into it. Okay, for those of you who don't know Spicy Horse, or may not have heard of them before, they created the Alice 1 and 2 games. 2 recently came out on both console and PCs. It's quite popular, so most of you may have heard of that. If you're more of a PC player, you may have played them on there, or you may remember the game Grimm, which was their first foray, I believe, into episodic content, which I believe went pretty well. So they're a pretty well-known company, and they're headed by American McGee, who is pretty well-known for all kinds of things, but especially his games as of late. So let's get into the actual game Akaneiro. This game is a very unique styled game. Well, I say unique, the closest thing I can equate it to probably is Borderlands, with the kind of heavy border comic book style sort of look going for it, and it's a very Japanese art style that they've gone for, because it is obviously a Japanese based game. It's based around sort of the samurai and that sort of demon hunter mythology that is based in Japanese culture and in their lore. So let's jump into classes now. I'm saying jump a lot, but never mind. So unlike normal ARPGs, which this is, it doesn't sort of have the standard sort of attack, damage, defense kind of attributes that you build up. You have sort of 3 classes, which are prowess, fortitude and cunning. We'll start with prowess first. So prowess is sort of your damage based skill tree, if you like. It's where all the moves that will do large amounts of damage and are sort of an offensive based are situated. The next is fortitude, which is kind of the defense tree. So if you're sort of thinking along the lines of Guardian or a Paladin, that kind of tank sort of build, fortitude is the tree that you're kind of going to be looking into. And the final one is cunning, which is kind of sort of thief, stealth kind of base. So if you're wanting to sort of disappear a lot, it's kind of more like a, yeah, I guess the best way to describe it is sort of a thief, sort of ninja tree. But it's kind of like a support tree as well, so it'll help you out. And the best thing about this is you're not simply locked into one. You don't pick you want to be a sort of a tank and that's it. You have to put everything in the fortitude tree. It is a mix and match system, so although you'll pick one at the start, you can jump between the 3 as you level up and pick skills from various trees. So if you want to be a very stealthy ninja who appears and does mass amounts of damage, then you probably want to put your points into cunning and prowess. But as I say, you can mix about with that and decide what trees and what skills suit your playstyle the best. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the weapons. Currently, the development team have 100 templates for all these weapons, as you can see on screen now. Although they only have 100 looks, I say only, as if it's a small amount, that is a lot. The stats on these items will be randomised, kind of like Diablo or Borderlands or that type of game. So although it may look like the same weapon as someone else has, the stats can be completely different. And that 100 weapons suddenly turns into millions of weapons when you take into all the randomisation that they've actually got in there. And part of the reason they want this back in is they want to actually expand those templates. So if they pass their goal, then hopefully they can make that. Next thing we're going to talk about is armour. So on your character there are 3 pieces visible apparently, which I assume, but I'm not certain about, will be sort of lower body, sort of trousers or skirt based, the chest area and the hat. That's not confirmed though. They've only actually said that there are 3 pieces of armour visible, but haven't confirmed what those 3 are, so that's just my speculation. So we'll have to wait and see. But although there's only 3 pieces that are visible, there are lots and lots of styles. As you can see on screen, there's just a few of them. So you can mix and match and find a character that looks pretty much exactly as you want within this sort of lore and style of game anyway. And obviously there's male and female characters, each with their own different looking clothes. Next thing we're going to talk about is the Spirit Helper, which is it's not necessarily unique. I've seen very similar things before, but I think it adds a little bit of extra depth and quite a lot of fun to the game. So you can summon sort of a little Spirit Helper, which is kind of the spirit of a pet, which if you know anything about sort of Japanese folklore or even sort of Native American folklore, the idea was that you had these sort of spirit helpers which would help you through your quests and through your journeys, and it's very much like that in Akaneiro. It's a pet that will follow you around and give you quite a heavy passive buff, so it's definitely going to be noticeable. You're not going to want to travel without a pet, so as soon as you get the chance you will want one. But with all the different buffs that they give you, it's a case of choosing the pet which best suits you and your playstyle and your character. So that'll be something to look into. Next idea that they have, which I don't believe is fully implemented yet, but will be very interesting, is the ability to summon an ally. This kind of creates a ghost or a clone of one of your friends who is offline at the time, and you'll get their character as it is, so with all their weapons, with all their stats, and that will be AI controlled to help you play through the game when you're playing through single player. So people can't just use your body for free though. You will actually get a share of XP and gold if someone uses your character, or vice versa. If you use someone else's, they will get a share of the XP and gold. So actually what I see is happening is that it may be a little bit strange. You sort of may leave the game at level 7 and come back and suddenly you're level 20. I'm not quite sure exactly how that's going to work, and although I like the idea of the concept, I see that there may be quite a few issues with it, and there could always be the case of people doing it for botting purposes. I'm not sure what the point would be at this point, but you never know, it could happen where simply 10 people just pick that character, play through, and then boost him to maximum level in, I don't know, a day or two. So we'll see how that goes, but it's definitely an interesting point, and it could add a lot to the game, a lot of fun. Next point, it will be multiplayer, since we're talking about allies. Although they haven't actually included multiplayer yet, that's part of the reason that they're doing this Kickstarter, because it's one of the most highly requested things, features, I guess, for the game that they want to put in. So hopefully if this gets funded and they get enough money, then we'll have some excellent multiplayer and some co-op gameplay, because ARPGs, although fun on your own, are definitely a lot more fun when you're playing at least with one more friend. Next we're going to talk about the reward tiers. So on Kickstarter, which is obviously where this is, at the time of recording this, they are at $55,000 of their $200,000 goal. There's still 22 days left. By the time I upload this, it may be a little bit less time, but there we go. So hurry up and get in there. This is the sort of reward tiers that you will get for being a backer of the game. For $10 and up, you will get access to the Android and iOS beta release. So just to clarify, because that is a little bit confusing and I had to do a little bit of research, the PC version is free to play and you can jump in at any time. The Android and iOS versions, which they're planning to make with this Kickstarter backing, for $10 plus you will get access to those as well. So if you want to play it on your phone or your tablet, then $10 is all you have to back. If you back $15 or more, you'll also receive an exclusive in-game item of Redcap's hooded cloak, which you should be able to see on screen, and the stats. $20 plus is a clever huntsman's axe. Can't even read my own writing anymore. $30 plus, it's a golden Inugame, which is one of the spirit helpers that we talked about earlier. For $55 plus, it's an arcane signet ring, which, looking at the stats, is actually a very powerful ring, so I'll have to see how that balances out, but definitely worth looking at for $55. And then there's also some much higher tier sort of $100 plus rewards, but I assume most of you won't be getting into that, and if you are, then you'll probably want to check out the Kickstarter page first anyway. So the link in the description, go check it out. So next we get on to why they actually want this Kickstarter backing. So the PC version is all good, apparently. They've got most of that done and it's coming along nicely. They just sort of need the money to tie it all up. But they also want to produce an iOS and an Android version, which won't just be a simple port of the game. They're wanting sort of a full custom UI for this. So it's much simpler to play and they don't have to dumb down the PC version, which is a good way to do it, I think. I was sort of disappointed when Diablo 3 came out, just because I felt like they dumbed it down to fit on a console, so it would play on a gamepad which doesn't have as many buttons, obviously, as a keyboard does, which means you couldn't have sort of the full 1 to 0 on the numpad or on your number keys along the top of sort of abilities and items to use. So it'd be good if they don't do that with this game. Next obviously is the co-op multiplayer, which we discussed earlier. They also talked about the co-op being multi-platform, so whatever platform you're playing on, whether it be iOS, Android or PC, you'll be able to play with each other. So that, I think that's an amazing feature, and I think we need more of this, really. If it's a game that can be simply run on a phone or a tablet, then why not? If I'm sat on my PC and my friend is on a journey on a train, why not jump in a game together and have a quick play of this? So that's the co-op and multiplayer. The next is the equipment crafting system. If they want to create, by the sounds of it, although this obviously details haven't fully been released, a very in-depth crafting system where monsters will drop sort of crafting materials. I'm not sure if they're going to drop crafting recipes or you automatically know them or have to learn them. There's, like I said, there's only so much they've actually released details on. But they want enemies to drop those crafting materials, and then you can apply properties to them in an item template, however that's going to work, for the perfect blend of stats and aesthetics to what you want. So not only will you be able to have the weapon that looks just like you want, hopefully it'll act exactly as you want as well. So that'll definitely be interesting, and I hope they get to put that in. And the final one is improved community support. That's the final major one. That's kind of a given. I'd kind of want decent community support in there anyway, but if they want to add it as a point, I'm not going to hold it against them. So the final points which they want Kickstarter backing for, I'm just going to quickly run through these because they're small points and I don't really want to talk forever on this video. Karma Void Dungeons. Use the crystallized hearts of fallen yokai to access multi-level dungeons. Lockbox items and additional consumables. Hand/fist weapon class and masteries. Expanded weapon and armor varieties. Additional spirit helper and pet varieties. Ghosts, leaderboards, hunting squads. It's mainly expanding on what they've already got by the looks of it. So that's kind of it for this game. It looks really good. If you're sort of into the style of sort of Torchlight, or even to some extent Borderlands, but more sort of Diablo and Torchlight really. If you're into that sort of hack and slash ARPG type of game, then it's definitely one to look at, and hopefully maybe you'll consider backing it like I have. As I said, at this point it's at $55,000 of their $200,000 with 22 days to go. That means they're a quarter of the way there in less than a week, so it's looking good because most of these projects do tend to pick up more near the end, so they're setting a good pace. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumb up, share it with all your friends if you think they'd be interested as well, and subscribe for the next lot of videos that will be coming out hopefully soon. And I will speak to you guys next time.